Hey guys, I'm Jacinta Robinson and welcome to the Fearlss podcast, where I interview athletes who have achieved incredible things. Today's guest is a great example that if you keep something consistent over a long period of time, you can become a master. He's one of the world's best one-arm balancers. He can handstand for over 15 minutes. He's currently on tour with the Fearlss show for Cirque du Soleil. I'd like to welcome Andrii Bondarenko. You're currently on tour with Cirque du Soleil doing the Fearlss show. Welcome to the podcast, Andrii.
Hi, Jacinta.
You got it right, Jacinta.
Yeah, Jacinta, yeah.
Nice work.
Yes, so I'm currently with Cirque du Soleil touring show Fearlss, which running now in Australia until August 23rd, and then we're gonna have a small break. For 1 month.
And how often do you, how long is that break? Do you go from show to show?
It really depends. So, for example, when we finish one country, and if the distance is too long, for example, next country is going to be South Korea, and so Cirque would need to bring all the props, even the big top, to South Korea, then set it up, and it's gonna take
completely take it all around the world.
Yeah, so it's gonna take so much time, and then we're gonna have 1.5 months break. But usually, normally we have only 2, maximum 3 weeks break between the cities or even countries.
Right. Yeah. And do you go home or do you go to the new location?
Depends, yeah. So, for example, now after Brisbane and before Melbourne, we're going to have 2 weeks break. And I'm going to go to USA, Las Vegas, because I have a green card, so I need to do check-in every 6 months. Plus, my daughter and my wife going to come in Vegas, so that's where we're going to see each other.
Oh, lovely. Yeah. Really, he's out to party with the three of them.
Yeah. Well, it's touring life, yeah.
Is it party life, like as in when you tour, or is it very rigid, like you have a routine and you know what to do every day, or?
For me, it's always depends from the people. Some people, they just go to work and then coming back. Some people, they doing educations during the tour, we also can. Now it's 2020, so you can do online educations. It's really convenient. I usually teach people in the morning. Sometimes I do some projects like photo shoots or something like that. I like to be busy, to be honest, yeah. Especially when my family is away from me, so I like to be busy, and then I don't think about some things,
Now, I know your wife also does...
She's a performer as well.
Yeah. And how does that work with a kid? Do you tour all as a family, or...?
So from the beginning, for example, when we just arrived to Australia, they was with me in Sydney. They was traveling with me. But then, because she's a performer, she needs to perform and train. I would say she likes to train as well, a lot. And when she was staying with the baby, sometimes every day, and she was able to train only 2 times per week. So it wasn't enough for her. And plus, she had some prepositions with work, mostly in Europe. And because Australia is super far away from everything, and that's why we made a decision. So she came back to Ukraine. She's taking care about the baby. And then she can go for 1 week work in Europe, for example, Germany or Austria, and then coming back, she's taking care about the baby. And plus in Ukraine, we have some people who can help us with the baby as well.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Now, it would be a challenging time, I guess, while you're fresh to it. It's your first child, and
Yeah, it's you have to sacrifice when you're on tour, so it's always good things and bad things, and one of the bad things it's of course distance with the family. Yeah.
thank God for technology. We can Skype
Yeah,
each other.
at least we can Skype every day, and yeah, this is helps a lot. At least I can see how my daughter developing and growing up. But it's still hard. I wanna hug her, and sometimes, yeah, I wanna feel this, and my wife as well, of course. Yeah, but for now, hopefully our show gonna move to Europe pretty soon, and then it's gonna be much easier because Ukraine, it's part of the Europe, so we're gonna see each other much more often. Or my family can travel with me and be in tour with me, and then my wife she can go for work, for example, for 1 week and then come back. But it's not like Australia, like 20 hours flight just to
Yeah.
work and then 20 another hours to come back. So it's gonna be much easier then. Yeah, I cannot wait to move to Europe, to be honest.
Yeah, I bet. Being with the huddle.
Yeah, and be as a family, like real family. Yeah.
So, and in the, obviously the other performers, is there a lot of people that have families?
Yeah, in our show, it's actually lots of people who has families. Some of the families they travel in with them in Australia. Some of them also, like my situation, they come in to visit performers, or performer usually during the break come and visit them at home,
Yeah.
Russia or Ukraine, wherever. Yeah.
Wow. I guess that's what happens with performing.
Yeah. So it's really sometimes you can get depressed, especially when you're far away from your family. That's why I like to be busy. So when you're busy, you don't think too much about that.
Yeah, because depression can sort of, I guess, eat away. But
Yeah.
with technology, then thank God, you do have benefit of seeing them and
For
still
sure,
communicating.
Yeah, this is help a lot.
And so, you've gone from competitive acro sports, right? You're top of the top. Is that in Europe or?
So yeah, I was in acrosport in national team in Ukraine for 5 years, and total I spent time in acrosport for 9 years. And I actually started pretty late when I was 10 years old. Usually kids starts from 6 if they want to get some results, but I think I always had a passion for some handstands, something like that, and acrobatics. I was enjoying that because I always had strong arms. I was climbing at home on the doors, and then my mom told to my father, okay, you should bring this kid to somewhere because he gonna break our apartments. And then my father, he brought me to acrosport. He had some friends who was a coach in acrosport.
Yeah.
And then slowly in 2 years I started to compete already, and then even my brother, he joined me in acrosport, and I think in 4 years, yeah, we was in 4-man groups together with my brother, but he
Nice.
was a base of me. So he was holding me on his head, and he throw me, catched me as well. So we went in competitions in Belgium in 2004, I think, yeah, and no, 2002, yeah, 2002, and we won that competitions. Yeah,
Wow.
so it was our first one, and we got 3 gold medals. And after that, we started to go in some competitions. It always was first or second place.
Wow. And was that because there was both of you and you had sort of a connection to be able to do it, or why do you think that you?
I think passion, and always I wanted, when you in Ukraine, especially at that moment, it's not really, first of all, famous country.
Yeah.
Second, there was no opportunities in my country, and I wanted to get out of my country and start to grow, build something more, and sport was given me lots of opportunities. So I really thankful to my father what he brought me to acro sport, because now I have opportunities to travel around the world to make money what I would never make in my country, you know. And yeah, I have to sacrifice with the family, but still I have opportunity to buy ticket and come to see them even during my break.
While
So-
getting to explore the world.
and explore the world, yeah.
So have you, when you were doing the acro sport, did you think I want to become a performer?
Yeah,
or?
for sure. Actually, when I was already in national team, and first time I saw actually Cirque du Soleil show, it was Skidam show, and I saw the bankin act when it was group of acrobats, it was 16 people who was throwing each other caged, and it was also kind of acrobatics, but it was like a theater, you know.
Yeah.
So people was the actors, and I really enjoyed that moments. And after that, I saw that show Kidam on TV. After I think 7 years, dream came true, and I got exactly in Kidam show in Bankin group act.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. How did
Yeah.
that happen? Like, did you apply?
When I was retiring with sport, yeah. So at that moment, casting was also coming to competitions, and they usually put some of the athletes in the list. And when athletes was retiring, they would contact you and ask if you would like to join Cirque du Soleil. I don't know if this system is still working, because now I think it's it's much easier with internet, and in that moment it wasn't that developed, so they usually would take your email address or phone number even, and then they would contact. That's what happened with me. So when I was retiring with acro sport, they contacted me and asked if I would like to join. So it was 2010. Yeah.
10 years ago.
10 years ago, yeah.
Wow. And you said that, like, when you saw that, for the first time, you saw that they were like a theatre.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to know, how do you go from being acro sports to then performing and making it look like that, like bring emotion and bring people into that act?
Yeah. So it's a good question. So after you finish the sport, first where you would go, it's Montreal. It's the headquarters of Cirque du Soleil. It's a huge area where they have own fabrics, they have different studios, they have classes, and you taking that classes, like actor classes. Even we were singing, we was playing drums, there was like movement, some classes. It was so many, like all day from 8 to 6 p.m. You had so many classes plus your own training. For example, my specialization was bankin in that moment, so I would spend maybe, I think it was even 2 trainings per day, by 2 or 3 hours, plus so many classes. And at the end, we had even English class, like only I think 2 times per week, but still sometimes we were so exhausted. Yeah, it was so hard, but super good experience.
Yeah.
I was super lucky what I had that opportunity to do that classes, because after, when you're in sport, you're more like a robot. You need to concentrate only on, usually when you do competitions, 3 days of competitions, and then you're free for another year, and you just train, and then you again need to concentrate only for 3 kind of performances. And then again you just training. And when you do shows every day, even mentally, we had psychologists who would tell us how to think about positive things. Sometimes shit is happen, even you can do some mistake in the show, and if I would do that mistake in sport, that would bother me for a whole year.
Yeah.
But when you're performing every day, okay, show is finished, even there was some mistakes, next day it's gonna be a new day, it's gonna be a new show, so you just need to leave it away and continue, because otherwise you're gonna get crazy.
Yeah.
So mentally, it's even they teach us how to don't think too much about mistakes, or what helped me, I did before, even now very often I do visualization before I do my act.
Yeah.
So even sometimes I can put in my head, okay, if I do even one mistake, sometimes you also, they was teaching us, even if you do mistake, you have to continue. And sometimes audience, they don't even realize, they don't know how it should be, and if you're gonna play and stay in the character, people not even gonna understand what it was mistake.
Yeah. I think it's part of the show.
Yeah, it's a part of the show.
Yeah. And then how, like in that moment, if you have made a mistake, what are you mentally thinking? You like, oh, just breathe through and keep going?
Just relax and just try to be in the character, play with the audience even more, and never make a sad face, because then audience gonna realize, oh, it was mistake for sure. But if you're gonna smile and continue, it depends from the act. Sometimes if it's like a serious act, so you just need to be in other character. But for example, in my act, I have a bourgeois character, so the fancy guy kind of building the chairs and climb on the chairs. So just smile, play with the audience, and continue to do your job. Yeah.
And when you said that you did you went away, you did all these different classes and learn all different stuff, from that, does that develop a character? Like, do you learn how to be that character?
But in that time, actually, I had different act. So I started to work with Cirque du Soleil as a flyer in group act, and it was really serious act. So it was 16 people, and even the idea was about Chernobyl and this atom explosion. So we had gray costumes, kind of, it was painting our hair, it was kind of ash on the hair. The idea was, so then you supposed to be really strong, and they teach us how to get in this character, what you should think about that. So when you do act, before you do act, it's not only choreography, it's also you need to be in the character, and you need to understand what you're presenting to the audience. So at that time it was serious act. Now I doing another act as a soloist, so I think already different. In my
Would you
brain.
say it's like if you were to create a movie, like they have
Kind
to
of,
get in, completely immerse themselves into that?
Exactly.
Oh, interesting. And then when you were saying like with the psych that comes and helps you, is that like a continuous thing that you've had someone there talking you through?
Yeah, for sure.
Because you're two people, really, like you're acting like one person and you're trying to put all your effort into that. It'd be a bit confusing, I think.
Even in my act, I have people who participate in my act as a characters as well. So I need to communicate with them even after my skills. I need to communicate with that characters plus with the audience. So I need to pay attention. And when we created that act, we had also some people who would help us. Okay, here it's nice your movement, but try to look at the audience more, try to present. They would say that. So it's a big work. Lots of work.
How do you find that? Like when someone's like, you're phenomenal with what you do, like being upset, like if you see him on Instagram or on the internet, like it's incredible what you're capable of. How do you personally take that when someone says to you, oh, like you're leaning slightly the wrong way or you're doing this?
I think when you already want to be performer, so you really have to be confident in your skills. Because if you're gonna have a fear or something, then it means like you're not good enough. I think my warm-up, even I trying to make my warm-up harder than my act. So for sure, my act, I would feel confident for sure in my act.
Yeah.
And the skills what I'm doing on backstage during my warm up, I try to do even harder skills to make feel on stage even, you know, like easy with the skills. Yeah.
And so if people were to critique you like prior to the show, are you saying like if you're not confident, it means that you're not ready for that? Like you've got to realize that it's about a complete show. Is that what you mean? It's not about you personally doing something slightly a bit wrong?
Well, first of all, Cirque du Soleil wouldn't hire people with bad skills because it's Cirque du Soleil quality, and that's why they have auditions and castings. And believe me, there is a bunch of people who would love to work in this company, and that's why they're trying to do their best to get in this company. So usually when people start to be in the show already, they don't do mistakes. Really, really rare, but sometimes we're humans, we're not robots. But
they have a high quality standard.
they have high qualities, yeah.
Which makes sense because they travel around the world
Yeah,
and
of course,
they have this amazing performance.
Yeah.
That
Sometimes we have some meetings with artistic director, and we can do a video session of the act, and then the artistic director would tell you, okay, I like this part, but try to do something like different movements or something like that, you know. So, but it's just details, small details, but not like, oh no, I don't like your skills. No, usually it's never happened like that.
Yeah. And like with the shows, like you've employed for a certain amount of time, do you get holidays during that you can have someone else replace you, or how does that?
We don't have holidays. We have holidays between the cities. For example, when we finish one city, and it's also really depends from the amount of the time. Sometimes we have only 1 week break, sometimes 2 week break, 2 weeks break, and sometimes we can take 4 personal days during the year, or if we got sick, we have a backup. Yeah, sometimes it's backup act. For example, in my case, I have a backup he's a flyer from Bankin, so he can do my act, maybe a bit less skills, a little bit different quality, but still show must go on, you know.
Yeah.
We're doing 320 shows per year.
Wow.
And yeah, so we need, and sometimes people get sick. Yeah, it's normal.
Yeah. And do you think that's like doing so many shows demanding on the body? Like, how do you make sure that you maintain that high level of skill?
How I usually try to train my body to do even more, for example, I stay in after the shows, I doing some workout, body weight workout. I doing maybe some extra skills. So then I want to make sure for the act I would be ready, you know, even at the end of the week when I would be so exhausted. So then I would work on endurance more.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I would pay attention more on endurance, because it's really hard when you do 8-10 shows per week and you have only 1 day off on Mondays. And sometimes on Mondays I doing my own things, even for the photo shoots, and then I have to do another handstand, you know, and you still working with your muscles. So it's experience. First year, I think the first year is the hardest one, when people finish sport and then they join in Cirque du Soleil. So then your body is adapting for the first year, and then you know how to do recovery. I do usually stretching, saunas, massages. We have physiotherapists who's traveling with us. If we have like really stiff muscles, you know, we can sign in, and then we're gonna have some treatments. Also, we have, even in Montreal, they teach us how to relieve our muscles with tennis balls, you know, when you
like
find
pressure point.
Yeah. So it's also, they teach us how to do some recoveries. Sometimes ice. I hate ice. I don't do
Yeah, the cold bath.
Yeah, I prefer sauna.
Yeah.
Stretching as well.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And because it's a gymnastic sort of style of training, I would say that like that kind of style is flexibility as well. So you're not getting super stiff from the weights or...
I don't usually do weights. I mostly doing body weight workouts or kind of calisthenics, Yeah.
So do you train outside of the performance?
Yes and no. I mean, outside, I wouldn't go in gym because usually I don't have time. And I think in my case, handstand. Some people even like I had students who was bodybuilders, and after they would do handstand, they said, "Oh my God, it's even harder than weights lifting because you using different muscles, like deep muscles, and it's completely different when you do handstand." So outside of Cirque, I could even practice at home. I don't need too much space. Yeah, or I would stay after the show
Do your
and
thing.
I would do my own things because sometimes I like to play on canes and I have canes at Cirque.
Yeah.
So that's why I stay in after show, or sometimes I come in earlier and do my practice before the show.
And would you say, like, because obviously there's a few different skills that you would need, do you spend a lot of time on one, like handstanding? Like, is there something specific that you would say needs to have the most time spent regularly?
Yeah, so in my case, what I realized, you need to have routine, everyday same routine, even if you learn new skills, but you need to prepare your body for the new skills,
Do you mean like the same, like I'm going to do push-ups and pull-ups or whatever it may
No,
be?
so usually it's like long holds for the endurance. Even in the good days, bad days, you should do long holds. Then tucks, like basic exercises, like foundations. You need to pass that basics exercises, and then next part of the training you would learn new skills. So because some people one day they doing basics and next day they say, "Oh, I don't have enough time, but I wanna learn skills." First of all, your body is not ready right away to do that skills and you can get injured. So step by step you need to, why we're doing basic exercises, because you need to activate your muscles.
Yeah.
And then second part of the training you would learn skills. And you would feel more confident in handstand after you would pass that basic routine. And then your body would be ready and like, oh, now I'm ready, I feel confident in handstand. And then, for example, if people would learn one arm handstand, then they would feel even more confident in that new skills. Either they would come on training, they would be cold, okay, wrist, shoulders warm up, and then they would start to do one arm handstand, but body is not ready, muscles is not activated. And then they would have troubles, and maybe they would be more fresh and stronger, but they would learn bad habits, because body is not
more
ready.
risk of injury.
And more risk of injuries for sure.
And so what do you like to practice the most?
I usually do long holds from the beginning of the training, like 5. Now it's 6 minutes. Also, I like
both hands or one hand?
First minute just 2 hands, and then I switch. Switch my arms, and then during that long holds, I also doing tuck holds, just normal tucks, tuck ups. But also don't stay on one level for a long time. For example, if long holds, people starting from 1 minute, don't stay for 1 minute for 1 year. Try to add extra at least 5 seconds in 2 months or 10 seconds. So you need to do progression. Even if it's slow progression, still progression.
Yeah.
But some people, they just, I'm doing routine. For how long? 2 years. That's why they don't do progressions,
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's important to constantly push yourself that little bit more.
Push yourself, yeah. For sure, first 1 month is going to be hard. But slowly, and it's discipline. It's all about discipline as well, self-discipline. Because some people, they doing maximum when they do in private lesson or workshop, but then in normal training they would say, oh, okay, I'm tired today, maybe I'm gonna skip long holds, maybe I'm gonna skip tucks. And then eventually, it's becoming a bad habit, so your body realizing, okay, if I was skipping yesterday, I can skip today.
Yeah.
And then like you skip and you doing even regression.
And then you're all over the shop, and then like no wonder why you haven't got to where you want to be.
Yeah. So it's also, you need to, I think, make a goal in, for example, 1 year. If you want to learn one skill, so usually I would say you need to have 1 year to learn that skill and push yourself. Yeah.
And would you say like it includes a lot of flexibility training within?
Yes, flexibility, mobility, it's also very important for handstand, for hand balancers. For example, even if you want to learn how to do press, but you would be so stiff and your pike would be like no pike at all. So of course you would need to use so much strength and muscles to lift your body up. If you would have more flexibility and mobility, so it would be much easier. Even in straddle, some people, they have a bad pancakes or middle split, and when they do straddle, it looks heavy, and it's really stiff. So flexibility is very important in handstand as well.
And what would you say would be the most important thing, like with handstanding? Like, would it be working on the flexibility first? Like, let's just say, right, I'm ready to go.
You mean with the routine? So I would suggest people start warm up with flexibility, maybe a little bit of cardio to also wake up your muscles. Then you would do flexibility for at least half an hour, and then second part you would do handstand. Because when you do flexibility from the beginning, then you can go and straddle wider, and you would, even your sides, if you would learn flux, it would help you already. You're gonna feel like,
I think movable, like you're
movable,
more open and able to be able
and I
to
think your body would be more awake after flexibility.
And like, have you personally had any injuries? Like, because like it's a lot of demand on your wrist. Like,
thanks God, not bad injuries. Sometimes I can have a small pain in my wrist or shoulder, but maybe only for a few days. If I have that pain, I try to do lots of rotations, like even after each time I do handstand, I would always rotate my arms, and sometimes rotate, and in one moment, like, it would crack and pain would go away.
Maybe you have like tightness and it's releasing it from doing that.
Yeah, I spent so much time on my arms. I think it's also not normal. You always using your legs in normal life, and then when you do lots of handstand, that's why for the beginners, when they do in handstand, they also need to be smart, and they need to do progression step by step. Because some people, they jump into the handstand. Okay, my coach told me I need to do long holds, so I will do super maximal today, and then of course you need to do slow progression, like not slow, but I mean you need to be smart. You need to listen your body, because everybody is individual. Some people, they have weak muscles, but they would for sure need to build muscles first and then do some progression. Some people, they're strong enough, so maybe they can hold handstand right away a bit longer than other people. So it's really always depends. Everybody is individual.
Yeah. And when you said some people don't have strength, do you feel like they need to go into the gym first and do a routine?
Not necessary gym. You can do body weight exercises at home, like spend lots of time on core, even like push-ups, shoulders, strength exercises. It's so many things what you can do at home. And you don't need to go in gym and do like weightliftings to do for doing handstand.
I think the body, I actually believe that body weight, your muscles are more condensed and you're stronger, where when you go into the gym and you're doing
Yeah,
muscle
you're getting
training.
even more stiffer, you know. And
Yeah, and they're more blown out, but they're not as strong. Like I've met lots of bodybuilders.
yeah,
and
because for example, when you do weights lifting, your shoulders is getting tighter, and then it's affecting your handstand. That's why you need to do mostly body weight exercises. You can use ankle weights if you want to have a little bit more body weight, you know. But it's so many conditioning exercises what really hard
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah. And would you recommend that someone gets a coach, a mentor straight up? Or do you feel like...
Yeah, for sure. If you're a beginner, I would recommend to go and find some coach who would give you some tips, and you would start to do your handstand routine properly correct, instead of... Yeah, now it's easier because you can always watch YouTube, for example, at least some basic exercises. But sometimes people doing wrong, even like when they already started to do handstand, they don't pay attention on the corrections, and then it's becoming as a bad habits, and then to remove that habits is so hard. So I would suggest to find some coach, or at least work with the partners who understand something in handstand, and then it's much easier if person would come and touch the body in specific spot, and person would activate faster, for example squeeze glutes. And I had some students who didn't even realize what they have to squeeze glutes in handstand, but it's really important. As soon as you start to work in handstand with the quality, so then for the future you're gonna have progression faster.
I agree. Like it wasn't until I had someone come and help assist me and just poke me.
Just
I was
small
like,
details,
oh.
and then you realize, and your body realizes, oh, that's how I'm supposed to stay. Yeah, so I for sure would recommend to find some coaches. Yeah.
Yeah. And so tell us about, Andrii, what's the future hold for you? Like you're performing now, like is this something that you foresee you doing for years or?
For sure, I like to be on stage, and that's why I'm trying to care about my body, and for another 5-7 years I would like to be on stage and perform, but I understand it's not forever. So in future I would like to be as a coach, in maybe even in the same company, maybe, I don't know. We have coaches as well who's traveling with us in Cirque du Soleil, so it would be a good option.
You may be coaching your daughter in the...
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah. And then, so with Cirque, when does that finish, your contract? Because you have a contract of a period of time. How does that work? So once you finish your contract, do you reapply? Is that how it works?
Yeah, usually we're signing contracts every year, and then because that's why we're signing contract usually on summer. So if some person would like to leave Cirque, they would have another half year to find replacement. And that replacement would need to go to Montreal. They also teach us how to do even makeup, you know, and sometimes you need to participate the acts and other acts, so we call it Q. So they would learn how to do that cues, and that's why we're signing contracts earlier. And then usually they ask us if we would like to continue, and then they would tell what kind of countries we're gonna go for the next year, if we're good with that, if we're not good with that. Or maybe from Cirque side they don't like somebody as a performer, you know.
Change it up, get it ready.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. That's why they've got such quality.
Yeah.
So tell us your advice for the listeners here. If they, like, what would be, I would say, the most important thing to focus on? Would it be their flexibility or strength training when it comes to doing a handstand?
First of all, is self-discipline, for sure. But in handstand, it's both flexibility, strength, technique, of course, as well. You need to know the technique. It's not like you cannot focus only on one thing.
Okay.
If you will be super strong but you will be stiff, it will be not enough for the handstand if you want to do some progressions. Depends what you want. If your goal just to do 2 hands handstand, so then yeah, it's not.
That's
it's
hardly
not
anyone's goal. They want the next
yeah,
thing.
yeah. Of course, when you just start to do handstand, you get it more and more addicted. And then next step, you want to do one arm handstand, you want to do press, then you want to do one arm press, then you want to do like flags. It's so many skills in handstand. That's why everybody is so addicted now, because
It's fun.
it's fun. It's so fun. It's not easy. If it would be easy, everybody could do all that skills, you know.
How long did it take you to go from the handstand and then, is it called a planche where you go down and your legs are out straight?
It also depends, but that planche, yeah, we call it planche, but this one requiring more strength.
How long did that take you?
Me, not long time, because I started to learn that skills as a kid.
Okay.
When I was in acrosport. So in acrosport, I could do planche, I could do one arm handstand, but only right arm. No left. They didn't teach us how to do left, because it was enough, more than enough for the sport, and I could hold maybe 5-10 seconds my one arm right handstand. Yeah, it was enough for sport.
Why didn't they teach you the left?
I think because of the time, and I was it was enough for sport, and I pay attention more on the kind of flipping in the air, because then you need to pay attention more for the coordination.
So you need more skills in a short period.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's why.
So on average, like I know everybody's individual, but like just say on average, how long would it take someone to go that can't do a handstand now? How long would you say, with correct mentorship, would it take someone to be able to achieve a handstand for a minute?
I will repeat, it depends. But depends how many trainings per day
Yeah.
or per week you're gonna do, because when I started to do handstand, I trained 6 hours per day, 2 trainings by 3 hours, and of course my progression was faster than people would do only 5 or 4 trainings per week by 1 hour. So if you wanna do faster progression, I would probably recommend to do 2 trainings per day if you have possibility and opportunity, because when you do first training, you still have some muscle memory for the second training, and you wouldn't have a long break like 24 hours, and you would do full recovery, and then next day you kind of would start from beginning, you know. That's why if you have opportunity to train 2 trainings per day, I think you would get faster progression. And maybe also depends how long time between the sets you're gonna do, because some people, they do 1 hour training but really intense. Okay, 1 minute between the sets, then they would do another things. But some people like, okay, I just did long hauls, so now I'm gonna do 5 minutes break, I'm gonna check Instagram or something like that, you know.
Yeah.
That's why I would repeat, depends.
Yeah. So basically you're saying you need to be committed, you need to give it the time.
And you need to have a consistent trainings. If you're gonna train 1 week consistent, then another week you're gonna have breaks again, or you're gonna train only 1 day in a week, so it's not gonna be enough. Consistent training, self-disciplines, and also, sometimes don't listen to your brain. You need to, if you have a routine, you can even write it down and make a mark. Okay, done with this. So it's really,
I think having a set routine is great. Like I have like a list on my phone to do for the day. And I think without even you realizing it, you're developing that habit of doing it. It's not like, oh, I have to do this. It's just like, okay, I know that at this time.
It just have to be your routine, and you need to accept this, you know. It's if you need to have a passion. If you don't like what you do, of course also you're not gonna get progressions. you need to have a passion. You need to be happy to doing this. You need to appreciate what you're doing. Yeah.
Otherwise, you won't see the wins or the
Yeah.
excitement. Well, it's been so lovely having you on the show, sharing your information on handstanding and about Cirque du Soleil.
Cirque du Soleil, yeah.
That's the one. And so the next show you said is in Melbourne, and then where is it from there for everyone listening?
So after Melbourne, we're going to Adelaide, and after Perth, and after Perth, we're gonna have small break, like not small, 1 month, one and a half, and then in tour plan it's gonna be South Korea.
Awesome. Well, if you're listening in and you're in South Korea, you'll just have to jump on the web and you'll be able to book a tour and to see the show. Whereabouts on the show are you for everybody looking in?
So actually this show is about steampunk style. It's about 19th centuries. So when people start to listen the music, there is a gramophones, there is a train, everybody is so curious. That's why the name of the show is Curious, like all about electricity, the lamps, and everybody is so fancy in steampunk style. Nice music, nice atmosphere. It's a great show. It's for everybody, for all families, for kids and adults usually. Everybody is so happy after the show. And when we had a tour in Japan, people was coming to see the show. One woman, she came to see the show 130 times.
Wow.
Same show, and she's still traveling. Sometimes she's going to Australia, she's watching the show, coming back to Japan, and then she's traveling around
Loved
the world.
it that much. Yeah, well, I've watched it once before years ago and it was incredible, so I'm sure that...
And also some people, they think it's because of Cirque du Soleil, so you was watching different show. 2 years ago it was different show. It's same company, Cirque du Soleil, but every time Cirque du Soleil bring new show with new conception, new ideas, so just want to make sure, because people saying sometimes, I saw Cirque du Soleil 2 years ago, but it was different show. About different story.
And they're probably amplifying it, more costumes, more excitement. And so if we wanted to get mentorship, how would we get in contact with you if we were going online?
You just can find me on Instagram, Andrii Bondarenko, Facebook, or even you can check in Google. It's gonna give you all the information.
Awesome. Alrighty, guys. Well, I'll pop that all below so you'll be able to get in contact with Andrii. And then, I look forward to seeing the show. I'm definitely keen to go check it out. I think
come to see the show. It's really great. You're going to love it.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me here.
Thanks for listening in, guys. If you're on Apple, please leave a 5-star written review. If you're on YouTube, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. All right, I'll see you next week with the next inspiring story.